These products are not for you. This Hasbro investor call was not for you. But I assure you, this video, we made it just for you.
Yeah, this video is for you. We're going to talk about everything from the Hasbro call, and then we're going to give you our thoughts on all of that. Let's get into it. Highest level of gratitude to our patrons who power the channel through Patreon. Check out the Patreon link in the description to learn about monthly giveaways, VIP Discord access, and even our official playmat. Hello and welcome to the day.
Thank you for spending your time with us.
I'm Jake.
I'm Hasbro. Welcome back to another episode of Jake and Joel Are Magic. We had a CEO, two of them, talk to us today. The Hasbro CEO, Chris Cox, and the Wizards CEO, Cynthia Williams, jumped on a fireside chat. It was incredibly scripted. You could tell immediately.
If you do enjoy these videos, click like and subscribe. That's a great way to support the channel with just the click of a button.
Real quick to lay the foundation of the whole discussion and some of the points we want to react to. It started, the call did, 45 minutes, started with an explanation of the Magic the Gathering Wikipedia entry of what Magic the Gathering is. It's a collectible card game, if y'all didn't know, with custom decks. That was so the old people who were listening in to make sure their Hasbro stock doesn't crash, they needed to know what was going on, I guess. So they explained MTG to us. Then they did a lot of back patting. Did some sweet air hugs and some sweet little blowed kisses.
Mouth hugs.
Little mouth hugs.
They had some mouth hugs.
They were doing their mouth hugs of how well they've done over the last 3 years.
Some back pats.
They talked about how they had taken all of Magic players and put them into 3 groups and done an excellent job at extracting every possible dollar from the Magic wallets of those Magic players in those segments. Then, the first real opportunity that was presented, Cynthia, CEO of Wizards, was asked, too much MTG being printed? And
this
Cynthia
was essentially
said,
the first moment after we heard the Wikipedia.
Yeah.
This is the first moment where
finally
we get an actual question.
well, and after they explained how well they had done through the pandemic.
Right. Sure, of course.
Cynthia responded to too much MTG being printed. Cynthia said, you don't understand the business. And then they moved on. After that, they explained that there are 6 tentpole releases a year. We know this. There are smaller sets sprinkled in. We know this. And
These are
they said
our
Secret Layers, D&D,
our Commander Collection,
Warhammer
Green, Commander
40K,
Collection, Black, that kind of
right.
stuff. Little
all
side
of those
products. Yep.
They said those aren't stopping. That is just going to continue. Suck it. But they did imply heavily that Magic the Gathering had sort of reached its monetization potential, because they've basically said, you know, that MTG players we know are sensitive to price increases, so we're going to do more products instead of raise the prices on things. So they're basically just implying that MTG is at a ceiling. We've smashed every possible product into the year that we possibly can. The only thing left here to do is raise the prices on those, and we don't want to do that. We just want to do more products. And so they hard pivoted during this MTG call. That was in the title of the call. Magic the Gathering, discussing Magic the Gathering. They hard pivoted into D&D is next. We're coming for you. We want that ass. D&D is their next moneymaker because it's a 4-quadrant space. I'm not smart and know what that means.
I think
and MTG is a 1-quadrant space.
Where like D&D is firing on like, okay, so let's talk about the quadrant thing for a second, because it's like, I guess what they're saying is that where MTG is firing in the games category, D&D not only fires as a game, it's firing as a movie, it's firing as something that's attractive on TV shows. So they see it as this like
toys with the figures and stuff.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, continue. Sorry.
Well, that was the last 10 minutes of the MTG call was, by the way, D&D, we're coming for that ass.
We got a movie coming out.
Chris Cox goes, I'm long D&D. And then they were like, thanks for coming to our Magic discussion, everybody. Fuck off. And that was it. That was the whole call.
Yeah, it was a lot of like powerful words. We'll go ahead and we'll talk about it. It was a lot of words that were like activate and powerful brand.
It was
and like
so corporate. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. All just like a lot of buzzwords. The deepest, the closest that we got, and deepest. The deepest we got.
They kept
into
saying
MTG.
that it's a deep game. It's a deep IP. It's a deep
deepest
quadrant.
we got, though, like in the pool of the MTG discussion, when you have people that are actually like there to listen and figure out, what do they have to say about it, it was essentially MTG has plateaued. That's essentially like what it came down to. And then they said to us, it's kind of like what Blake said. Blake almost like alluded to it. He's like, it's not slowing down. It's just going to keep going. But the deepest they got into it was, hey, we hear some players saying that you're printing too much. What are you going to do about it? What is your response to that?
Everything is print to demand.
And we don't, she said, people who are saying that we're printing too much is they don't understand the brand. So
when she called all products that weren't those 6 tentpole products a year, she called every other product an opt-in product. So they definitely are trying to get away from the narrative that everything that they make is supposed to be enjoyed by everybody. Real quick before we go on, I do want to say, Jake and I have secret cameras hidden everywhere, and I want to take a real quick peek. We've got a recording of the room in which they wrote the speech for the Fireside chat today, so let's just real quick take a look at that. Oh wow, yeah, Jake, it looks like they worked really, really hard on this. That looked like a lot of fury in action. Anyway.
Yeah, I agree. For me, this today just feels like the tiniest bit of it. It wasn't even damage control. It was mostly like a pump for D&D. It was definitely a call for shareholders. It was the kind of thing where, they were essentially just saying, look, him saying I'm long D&D, that's very telling. That's like, look, buy the dip, because we will talk about in a little bit, one thing to keep in mind about the economy, but he's essentially saying I'm long D&D. If you believe in the long-term vision of D&D, we have a movie coming out. We have, you have the new Stranger Things season that will, the bow tie on that whole series that will come out eventually, and that will push people to D&D. I have some thoughts on D&D, and I shared these on stream. If you guys do want to check out the full stream and hear the call and hear our commentary, and then, you can turn on comments on the side. You'll see people talking about it. You can watch that. We'll put that video in the cards for you if you want to check it out. But just as somebody who has played D&D, it's a game that's fun, but it's not for everyone. It's like you really have to be into that. And I did say this on stream, which is, D&D originally came out before we had all of the, video games that we have today, which are, they simplify a lot of that. D&D is a game about taking notes. If you want to make sure that you are playing to your best potential, you're writing stuff down, making sure that you understand everything that you have, keeping up with, the story, different characters. Video games simplify that for you. But D&D is about improvising. It's about getting together with a group of people and enjoying that experience. And if that's not for you, if you are not the kind of person who wants to like dive into a character and like talk with people and improvise that kind of way, circle around a table or play over Zoom and look at people's faces, it's just not for you. That's just my opinion as somebody who's seen people come and go from it. It's pretty much what I said on stream. I just wanted to say it in this video as well. You can, get people into it. There are people that learn to play it and they really like it. I think that there are customers to be acquired there. I just don't know how many there are. I don't know the volume, if it's going to be enough to really prop up Hasbro's stock. I don't know if a movie about D&D is going to be enough to get people into D&D, but maybe it will be.
This call, we knew, was entirely aimed at investors. And after I sort of go through some of the little quick points of things that they said, Jake can speak more to the economy side of it. He's actively involved with, stocks and trading on a daily basis, and so he's got some good thoughts there. But this one was very much aimed at investors, and their main points, to summarize it like the shortest I possibly can, is Magic is headed in a good direction. Mm-hmm. They aren't as mad at us as they make it seem. The little goblins are just going to keep buying the little cardboard pieces that we print for them. We are not slowing anything down. We are not involved in the secondary market, but we have had discussions with partners, and they've said that there's no drop in value or interest in trading. Okay, don't know who you spoke to on that one, because I've heard the opposite. They did confirm that they sort of scaled back 30th anniversary edition to keep it more collectible in response to, just absolute horrible feedback on that. So they sort of acknowledged it, but not really. They didn't acknowledge the actual player base or the consumer base for the game at all, just investors. And that's fine. That's kind of what the call was for. It's understandable.
Right, then, but it's kind of funny because it's like omitting that, like not saying to investors, hey, but in our biggest brand, there's kind of like a lot of unrest going on. Like that's carefully left out, even though it exists. And even though there's like bearishness within that game, that's like, it's kind of funny because it makes you think on like a broader spectrum when you're hearing, you know, about any company that is doing X, whether it's a pharmaceutical company or tech company, whatever. It's like, yeah, they're giving us some of it, but they're probably leaving out huge chunks of information that are valuable. And the valuable 100%. Chunk of information that's left out here is, oh yeah, but also we have a lot of players that are mad about this one product that we made.
And really overwhelmed with set releases in general and have asked us multiple times to slow down just a little bit. That ain't happening. You know, that ain't happening in a major way. We've got a live look-in camera at the warehouse where they're actually printing MTG cards. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Wow, yeah, it seems like they're doing a lot of work over there. It seems like a lot of noise and fury, just like we thought.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really interesting situation because from their perspective, let's just take it back to COVID and the products that were there, right? This is essentially right as collector products came into the mainstream, right? So it's like MTG lost a lot of tournament support because of COVID. Everything had to shut down. It was like, I mean, the economy took a massive dump. Like the SPY just absolutely crashed. It was just like, it was insane. You know, the SPY got down to like super low, 228 at one point, which is just insanely low. And so the economy was in turmoil. And yeah, I can see as Hasbro looking back and being like, we did really good. We did really good. But you have to think as well, a massive amount of stimulus money went out and people spent it on collectibles and stuff. Some people kept their jobs and got stimulus money. There was a weird pump. Like the S&P 500, you know, people say keep your eye on the SPY because the SPY, the ETF, which is, you know, it's tech, it's financial services, industrials, communication services, utilities, healthcare, all sorts of stuff. And it's kind of like this great market indicator. And this time last year, the SPY was at $470. Right now it's trading at $395. You know, so it's essentially down 70 points from where it was last year. So Hasbro's thinking, look, we're going to sugarcoat it. We are going to keep our same strategy that we have. Our strategy is going to be, we like to have our tentpole sets. We want to continue doing secret layers. We want to try out this model that we have as the economy recovers. That's their idea. Now, when will the economy recover? When will it go back to the SPY being like 470? Will it be this time next year? Will it be the year after? Hasbro's just like, that's essentially Chris Cox. He's saying, I'm long D&D. He's saying, I'm long Hasbro. He's saying, if you're long Hasbro, you're going to wait through the dip. And as the S&P goes up, as the economy recovers, as the global markets recover, then in theory, his billion-dollar company should recover.
Yeah, we'll go with it.
The long
we'll
and
ride
short
it
of
back up.
Is just ride it up.
They had Cynthia there to basically say, look, I'm the CEO of Wizards, okay? Magic the Gathering is fine. We're doing fine. It's all fine. It's fine. Yeah. It's fine. And then he's there, right, to imply heavily, it's going to follow the economy back up. We got all this stuff rocking with D&D. We're going to use the last 10 minutes of a 40-minute call. We use literally a quarter of our Magic the Gathering discussion to be like, yo, we about to come for that D&D ass. Gonna get that money, baby.
And it wasn't even like a D&D subset of MTG. It was just like,
no, straight up
Dungeons
D&D.
and Dragons, the brand.
They went, Magic's fine. Now D&D is where we want to make that money.
But it wasn't a fireside chat because there wasn't anything intimate about it. It was. Oh,
it was tone deaf. From a consumer standpoint, it was tone deaf, and they ignored the actual issues.
Yeah, they ignored the issues. You have people that are players that are looking, like the closest we got to any nod to the players was a tiny 10-second, you know, to people who don't think that, you know, we need to be printing cards, you don't understand the brand. That was as close as we got to any of the unrest that people have felt. And so I think
that's Cynthia saying suck it. That's all Cynthia's saying right there is.
Yeah, she's essentially saying,
don't buy
experimenting. I think that they see Magic the Gathering 30th Anniversary Edition as an experiment. that of this year, they're probably just like, okay, people weren't really into that. Let's run it back. Let's see what we need to do next time. Maybe with the sets moving forward, we make it $500 a box, so the packs are only $125 each. Maybe they decide to make changes. The first one, maybe they would say, well, this one has a Power 9, so they were $1,000 a box, but the next stuff is going to be like Legends and Arabian Nights and that kind of stuff. Those are going to be $500, and whoever wants to buy them can buy them. And it will be a method of desensitizing us to it, like Walking Dead moving forward with the new IPs and that kind of stuff.
Like box toppers with extended art, and now what an extended art card will cost you now.
Showcase cards, and eventually we'll get desensitized to it, and we'll be like, oh, there they go doing that thing again. And
well, honestly, if they're going to keep this up with all of these products, 6 tent poles, lots of small stuff, I mean, we got to check our last camera, and let's just take a live look in at R&D making all these sets for the next 2 years and see how that's going. Oh, wow. Yeah, it seems like they're really working hard. That seems like a lot of noise and fury over there to get all these sets designed. Yeah, seriously, that's a hard worker right there. Good on them. Small little pieces that we thought were worth mentioning is that 40K is now on their 3rd reprint, apparently, those 40K decks. They specifically said, Cynthia specifically said, those are print to demand, just like everything else, apparently. So if you haven't gotten the Warhammer 40K decks and you want them, I maybe wouldn't trust secondary market prices right now, because if the demand is still there, they're going to just keep printing those, which I think they should. That's a great product and it should be in people's hands. I think that Chris also, and please let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. I tried to look for where it said this anywhere on the internet before we shot today, but I couldn't find it. I think Chris accidentally told us that we're definitely getting some Harry Potter universes beyond at some point, because he mentioned Lord of the Rings. He said, oh yeah, and we've got things like Lord of the Rings or like Harry Potter. And I don't know if he was doing for example, and it's a weird thing for a CEO to do a for example on a call like that, because if that deal is not in place or those discussions haven't been made, why are you mentioning Harry Potter? So that may be something that's coming at us down the line if that hasn't already been announced. That was a little bit of news. But in general, it was a little worse than I expected. It was exactly what I expected, and I was still disappointed, right? It was weird because it was tone like deaf. There were no issues touched on, really. I wanted a little bit more transparency, and at least like we've heard the community, still speaking to investors, because that's who this call was for. It wasn't for us. We've heard the community. We've got some plans over the next 6 months to sort of give back a little bit and slow down a little bit. We've got some ideas. We're going to engage the community in different ways. That would have been fine. That would have been enough for me. Just a little morsel thrown to the little goblins who are like, yum, 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 yum. Thank you. That would have been fine, but we didn't even get that.
There were some pretty big takes in last night's stream where people were like, I guarantee you they're gonna announce Aaron Forsyth getting axed,
getting
and that
fired.
kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, nothing big happened at all. It was just a call that was very much like, stay the course, ride it out, get through these lows, and we're gonna see better days in the future. And no talks
from an investment,
of despair.
From a stock standpoint, we're gonna see better days in the future.
From a stock standpoint, yes, it was just like, stay the course. As far as Fireside chat, it's cool getting to hear, these people actually just talk and have a discussion about this, but it was all very like, by the book, boilerplate type stuff that was, we're going to talk about the good things. We're not going to talk much about, any of, the insane backlash that came from pushing it to Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh players. And like, we tried to sell this one very expensive thing, but it got rejected by not only our community, but other TCG communities. That's the kind of thing where it would be like, so we're kind of like playing around with MTG and trying to figure out, different ways to make money. Obviously, none of that came out. That would have been just a dream for people to get to hear that conversation. They just spoke about to hear them take accountability would have been just like, that's only going to exist in your dreams or a different universe.
It was all full confidence. That's the only way they spoke about MTG, was full confidence. Everything's great. Don't worry about the fact that there's a big hole in the side of the ship where an iceberg hit it. We're good. We're the Titanic. We can't be sunk.
Lifeboats.
Right?
Yeah.
We've got lifeboats, y'all.
We've got
we'll just sell
lifeboats
some
in a
more
band.
secret layers.
Yeah.
In conclusion, Dominaria Remastered previews wrapped up a day ago. Phyrexia All Is One starts previewing next Monday. Merry fucking Christmas.
Merry Christmas, and we will see you on the flippity.